everybody. Really appreciate you taking the time to join us today as we talk about unlocking your software's potential, a partnership approach to support and services. And what's really valuable about this conversation is that you're there to recognize and realize that when we really get deep into this idea of software as a service, SaaS, a software solution, it really does come down to not just the technology itself, but the people that actually support you with it. And with me today, I'm really excited to introduce our cast of characters, our amazing individuals that have joined us today. I want to start with Dan Earhart. Dan is a solution specialist here at CXT Software. And what that really means is that he works with businesses and couriers, carriers, healthcare organizations on a daily basis with them on how to best use software. And so, Dan, great to have you. Why don't you take a moment and not only tell them about what you do today, but also maybe a little bit about what you've done in the past about actually coming out of this space and having the number of years that you have as background.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks for that intro, Philip. Yeah, I'm Dan Earhart. I'm a solution specialist here at CXT Software, and I've been with the company for just about 4 years now. But before working here, I also worked as an operations manager for a courier company that used the software, and I was also there for about 4 years before coming on board here. With this current role that I have, I'm involved with helping customers learn how to utilize the software. So that's training them on different features and software, their capabilities and functionality, recommending best practices with how they're looking to utilize the software. I also dabble in creating content. So some of our training materials I'm responsible for making. So it's really all encompassing with helping the client best use the software for what they're looking to use it for. Before this, when I was an operations manager using the software as a customer, I worked for a final mile courier who had their hands in all sorts of industries. So I'm familiar with manufacturing and distribution, specimen routes and pickups. So working in the healthcare industry, pharmacy deliveries as well. And that definitely has come in handy just with that experience with my role now, because I understand the other end of the spectrum with using the software in that kind of capacity and trying to solve all sorts of problems that your customers have. Definitely.
Yeah, what a gift it is to have sat in both seats. That's the real cool part about this. And that's why I'm really excited for you to bring your thoughts to this conversation of how can an organization best get everything they can out of their TMS solution and their TMS solution provider. When we think about that, how do you ensure that your operations run smoothly and effectively? Dan, excited to hear what you have to say as we go deeper into this conversation. And also with us, wanted to bring a slightly different perspective from that, which is from the product perspective and the ability to build software. And with us, we're very fortunate to have CXT's own Chief Product Officer, Derek Fig. Derek, thank you for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy as you are focused and energized on how we expand and continually innovate, but love for you to take a couple minutes and talk about that amazing adventure you've had in driving CXT's product and focus of solution.
Sure. Thanks, Philip. And thanks, Dan. Yeah. So ultimately, I've had the pleasure of being with CXT Software now for almost 21 years, just in a few months. So I was one of the earliest members on the team. And okay, the perspective that I have, certainly since the founding of CXT, we recognize that the transportation logistics industry, it's incredibly agile, and to stay competitive, our clients, they must move at an incredibly rapid pace and be prepared to embrace disruption and change at all times, which is certainly why we have as well. And that's everything from our product line and our feature sets, but more in that same spirit, our mission has always been, not only to be the customer software provider, but to genuinely be viewed as a partner in our clients' success. And this is why we view CXT Software as both a product and a services company, not just a product company, but a services company as well. And an industry-leading enterprise SaaS product can take you very far and be a driver of your success and growth. And there's no doubt about that. But its ability to provide our customers with expertise and business consultation on best practices, advanced solutions, what have you, that is what I believe sets CXT Software apart. And I think it's been a critical driver in our partners' rapid success, not just being ahead of the curve on solutions and features, but certainly working with our customers to make sure that they're able to make use of all the excellent features that we have.
Yeah, what a great way to say that, Derek. And I love the fact that as you look at how you are driving the future of this solution and where we take this, I love the fact that it's really built on the backs of the best practices that you've gotten from the industry and how you really bring that to light. And that's really why we wanted to have this conversation today, because I think we can all agree that this landscape is ever changing. When we think about this landscape, whether it's our ingrained and upgraded customer expectations, whether it's around globalization and the ability to serve a much wider market, whether that's our end users or where the product is coming from, whether it's sustainability and the conversations around how we better serve our environment and our planet. It might even be around the tech advancements, and specifically when we get into these great words called AI or machine learning. And as we all know, all of that is designed to make things more efficient and more effective and to be smarter each and every time. But then you start to add the regulatory compliances, and we start to see more and more in this space, not to mention the economic fluctuations. We could probably have a webinar all to itself on the impact of tariffs or possible tariffs or reciprocal tariffs, all of that in this market space today, not to mention workforce challenges. I know when we talk with a lot of our clients, a lot of times they're really one of their biggest objectives in their business is how do they keep good driver talent, right? And how do they engage, keep, and motivate and really have a great driver experience, because they really view their drivers as part of their customer base. They have to spend as much time building that relationship as they do with their customers. And then we start to see the healthcare side of this and all of the D2P, direct to patient opportunities that are coming around that. But all of that is what really builds this conversation around supply chain complexity. And how do you take this conversation of a TMS solution and really be able to make sure that it folds in and at any given time that you're able to take advantage of not only all that the TMS has to provide, but that your TMS actually assists you in these particular areas of your business, whatever's come with you at that moment. And when we think about a TMS solution, we really want to identify the fact there are 4 really strong key pillars. On the technology side, you have stability and scalability. But down on the business side of that, the partnership side, you have the unlimited amount of service as well as the innovation. And this unlimited amount of service is the pillar we want to focus in on today, because we know that when you really utilize a TMS solution to its fullest, you're going to find a improvement in on-time delivery. You're going to find reductions in operational costs, and you're also going to see that increase in operational efficiency. These are all core elements that we want to see that drive the bottom line, especially in an industry that has as tight margins as this industry does, right? The margins are thin. We need to find the cost cutting in any which way that we can while still providing incredible value to your clients or your customers and to your drivers, right? All of those stakeholders at the likes. And that's why we want to talk about today and go deeper into the conversation around collaboration, because we know that collaboration is what really equals success. It's not just that your logistics ecosystem has a TMS solution, because it's a combination of your drivers, your dispatchers, your logistics operators. And then you start adding in the technical teams on this, whether that's your technical team or your TMS provider's technical team, the ability to understand how to get best practices out of your system by using account management or even just in general technical support. And I think what would be really valuable, and Dan, I'd love to stop here and I'd love for you to share a little bit more about what in clients as they're really looking to expand their usage of TMS, reduce their costs, be able to deliver in such a meaningful way. What do you see as some of these drivers that really do make a difference? And how do these pieces really come together to create this amazing logistics ecosystem?
Yeah. So a lot of times I work with a lot of our new customers and also some of our existing customers. And you mentioned a TMS solution, and the word solution is what's really important because
Mhm.
they have problems that they're looking to solve. You mentioned operational efficiencies, trying to increase the on time deliveries and performances, but there's a lot more to it than that. And really, the biggest thing is getting your TMS solution to make things easier for you. It's always that mantra of work smarter, not harder. So when you have a TMS, that you're incorporating into your business, you want to make sure that you can make things as easy as possible for your dispatchers, your drivers, your accounting team. And what really helps that is making sure that the people you're working with understand how you're looking to utilize that software, that solution. You can have six different courier companies that do the same thing and service the same industries, but they operate six different ways. And the needs of your customers can change. Even if you're serving the same industries, they can be vastly different. So having a partner in that not only understands your needs, but can help you work towards making that a possibility within the solution that you have is so vital because getting a vendor or a third party to provide your TMS solution, they have to be robust. Otherwise, you just try to make it yourselves. And that's just an expense and headache that you don't want to deal with. So having someone that's invested in not only making sure the product works for them, but is also making sure your business thrives with the solution that you're using. All of those are important. And I've just seen just to get business sometimes with the contract requirements, you have to have some out of the box ideas in order to make
Mm.
sure you can complete the deliveries within the budget that they have. And I've said this before, but it always reminds me that sometimes you need to come up with out of the box solutions to have that happen. It might not be a native functionality in the TMS solution that you're using, but can you rely on the expertise of the people you're partnering with so they can help you achieve your goals? I mentioned this before. A movie I keep thinking of is Apollo 13, where they have the experts of NASA. Hey, this is what we have on board the ship. Can you make an air filter with these items? And you want your partner to be able to do the same thing. Rely on their expertise to make all these square pegs fit in round holes to get the desired outcome. Having someone that's willing to work with you that has that expertise, those out of the box solutions, those best practice recommendations are huge. The last thing you want is to partner with somebody where you give them a call because you have a legitimate question or problem. And it sounds like they're just hurrying to get you off the phone. Or,
And
oh,
you
hey,
can't
this is,
be honest with you all.
yeah, or this is how it works. Use it or grin and bear it more or less, and not being willing to work with you to help you get your desired outcome.
Yeah, Dan, that was so well said. And by the way, I love that movie, Apollo 13. In fact, I could just, even I think about when using software, I think about like Houston, I have a problem. Houston. And to your point, Houston in the movie was the engineers and everybody they could put into a room with a box of all the different materials that they had on the ship to figure out how to make a filter that would extend that lifetime. And it is. When you think about a TMS solution that's going to be valuable, you really think about who can you call? And it's not just about calling Ghostbusters. It's really about, do you have a Houston that can help you understand those best practices and really drive from that? And what a great segment into that. And Derek, as you think about designing and building software that is able to be configured, that's able to be innovative, that's able to drive integrations and make sure that these things come together, what are some of the insights that you have around that you'd like to share with the audience today?
Yeah, certainly one thing, and Dan might even have some good examples from his experience, but one of the things that our product roadmap at times is driven by perspective and new clients, because the implementation service team and our expertise there at times will identify potential gaps, new or unique edge case problem that might actually be better solved with new functionality. I'm always impressed by the service team, what they're able to, with the flexibility in our software. Certainly we build it for flexibility, what they are able to do within the paradigm and the feature set of our current software. But also sometimes the services team will identify things that are just they would be better handled with new functionality, new development. And I really think that's a kind of a critical piece as well with the services team, like Dan certainly being a major factor there, is getting feedback from our clients and working with our new customers, our current customers, even prospects, and understanding business cases of some of the changing challenges. Always having the services arm be able to really help disseminate some of these challenges that we may actually not have in our roadmap. And I think the exciting thing is, how we've been able to work together with the services team and our clients in making that happen, being able to turn around and be agile in design and development of solutions that might be presently an edge case, if it's not in the application suite at the time, but is something that one unique customer might need today and 200 might need in 6 months. I genuinely think that the service team and our technical teams working with our clients are also critical in driving that roadmap. And Dan, you might have a really good example of an experience that you've had with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's something that we run into all the time when working with customers. They're the ones that definitely give us the feedback on how to make our product better. It's not all stuff that we come up with out of the blue. And that's one thing I very much enjoy in this environment, is that I feel empowered to be able to make those suggestions and not feel like, I'm just going to send this and it's going to fall on deaf ears. It's no, this would be a really good addition. There was a really simple one recently, where someone was like, oh, hey, I want to make on-demand orders into route stops. So when I do that, there's something that doesn't flow right. And I noticed that the same thing. It's, hey, I know what you're saying. It'd be totally better if it did this instead. So we made that product suggestion and it was on the next sprint and added to the next update that went out, which is awesome. It's one of those things where I feel like there's a collective of want for our product to be better for across all of our teams. And we all feel like we have a say in making those suggestions where we see those recommendations. And hopefully with whatever TMS solution you have, there is that kind of teamwork available as well, because I never feel like when I'm making a suggestion that I'm passing the buck. More or less, I'm just as invested in seeing the desired outcome as the customer is. And you'd want that same thing with whatever, maybe even outside of a TMS solution, whatever service you're working with. You don't want to feel like you're being passed around. Oh, hey, technical support's not going to do it. Let me pass you to billing. Let me pass you to engineering. Let me pass. We don't like that. And that's what you'd be looking for in a partner as well, where everyone is invested in making sure your needs are met within reason. If you want me to optimize 2 stops that are on the other side of the country within 5 minutes, I can't break the laws of physics. But
no, I love that, Dan. And this is where it really comes to be the most important element. And as we think about that, we recognize that every stakeholder is critical to the success of logistics management and the process around it. And like both of you shared, the changing landscape of supply chain and the complexities that go with it requires us to listen to the front line. And the front line for us is our customer. And that is the key element. And you can't listen to the customer if you're not actually getting underneath the covers to understand what it is that's going on and what they're trying to solve. And that was a really core element to this that we really focus on. And I think that's where the opportunity arises as we go deeper in this, is that we get to see that there are many different stages and resources at those stages, right? From account management, where you're talking about understanding best practices and understanding some of the things that can be done, the strategic play in the conversation, like how can we get this solved? Then into the support services. And I want to spend a little bit more time and talk about the professional services side. It's super interesting that every organization, it's fair to say that they're best at what they're best at, right? And when you think about a courier service or a final mile service, they're best at getting that delivery or that order to its endpoint. That's what they're best at. But they may not be best at configuring software. And they may not be best at solving technical problems or creating integrations. They may not be best at that. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't have talent. It doesn't mean that their talent can't do that. But as a general proposition, we tend to find that that when your core business is one thing, you tend to have your talent built around delivering or serving that one thing. And for us, that is the TMS solution way. And that is why professional services is such a huge part of our offering. Like we are professional services organization along as a software organization, right? We can be, and we offer where our clients don't have that talent in-house. For those that do, it's great. We have mechanisms and ways to support them and to work through best practices and to provide different support levels of API support or building out support. But for those that don't, this idea of systematizing your business in technology can be a pretty overwhelming task. And that's why when we look at professional services, it really comes to our ability to provide that level of opportunity. And so for our clients, and as you're thinking about a TMS solution, regardless of whether you use us or another solution, it really is about, do you understand what is at your fingertips as far as the level of support? And have you partnered with the right organization that has the best in class and they're best at what they do? And those are the pieces when we really look at looking at how do we holistically support, because through that interaction that we're able to get that information back to Derek, who's then able to build new elements into the product that are in alignment with what our customer needs. And this ecosystem that is software, that's not just a out of the box solution that you have to change your workflow to fit into our box. It really is that we have been able to customize and configure a solution that will work with your workflows. And if it doesn't, we'll explore ways that it can. And I think that is the hope to take away, is to really look at your software as a service, your SaaS solution, your software solution provider as a true partner in this mix, not just as just a software provider and you're on your own. I think that's one of those key elements. And I know we're coming to the end of time and truly appreciate all of the individuals that have been here. But when you think about it, Dan, I'd love to just offer up any final thoughts that you have on this conversation. And maybe even if somebody was looking at what types of questions they might ask, feel free to throw that in there too.
Yeah. So I think when you mentioned professional services and partnering with you, I think that's really the big hit right there. And I know you mentioned the word collaboration before, but that's really important. Having someone that wants to work with you and offer up their expertise and being there from the get-go. If you buy into a TMS solution, there should be someone that's making recommendations on how to utilize it. The last thing you want to do is buy into something and then have to figure it out on your own. And then 3 years down the road, you actually spend money to possibly collaborate with somebody. And they're like, oh yeah, you set this up all wrong. With our solution, there's many different ways to accomplish the same task, but it really depends on the rest of the big picture of what you're trying to do. Like maybe not what you're trying to do right now, but what you're trying to grow into. And that's where we make those recommendations. Just like how as a courier service, you make recommendations for efficient logistics for your customer who has no experience with that. We do the same thing with our technical expertise. We make those recommendations on how to use the software because you're not going to know. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you along the way. And I'll say when I was an operations manager, there were times where we looked at different solutions and saw what would work best with what we were doing. And it amazed me how there were so many that didn't offer any kind of like implementation or training experience from the get-go. And I can't fathom to think on how people would be so lost getting a new software and not knowing or being able to talk to somebody about how to even start using it. It's just like buy Excel, you open up a spreadsheet and it's figure it out. It's good to have someone there to assist you along the way. And that's the role that I do. And I want any customer I work with to succeed. I want to see them do better and grow and make things easy and see that the software is going to work for you and you're not going to be like butting heads working against it the whole time. You don't want to be like an office space wanting to take the printer outside with a bat because it's not working for you.
Dan, going back to, I love that. What I want to just share in that, and I'll do another movie reference because I loved how you led with that. There was I'm not going to say good or bad. I'll let everybody have their own opinion, but there was a movie, Keanu Reeves movie called The Replacements. And it was halftime of this playoff game, and the coach gets interviewed. He goes, "We need heart. We need heart." And I'll tell you that one thing as a coach, you can't buy. You can't buy. You can't coach heart. And Dan, I just appreciate how much you care about your clients and what you do to deliver on that. And Derek, same with you on just the desire to truly listen, to truly understand, and to truly create a solution that's there. And that's what partnership ultimately is. You have to have a relationship with somebody that cares as much as you do. And that is true. If I know we're not here to just sell CXT software, but I will say this, that is what truly makes us different. And I just want to thank everybody for taking the time. I know we're at the top of the time commitment, but really truly appreciate, Dan. Thank you for your commitment to this conversation. Derek, truly appreciates your insights on how to bring the customer along in that product journey, and just wish everybody an incredible experience with your TMS solution. And if you are looking or need to have a conversation with an organization that's dedicated to your success, feel free to give us a jingle. We look forward to having that conversation. Take care, everybody. See you on the next webinar with CXT. Take care.
Take care.